What's up YouTube? So today we are going to be installing something pretty exciting. We are going to be installing a completely brand new coilover system. For those who don't know, I've been racing around here with my MRS with blown McGann Easy Streets that I got used off a parts car. I've never owned new coilovers in my life on all my cars. I've always bought used because coilover systems can be pricey, and I decided that I didn't want to put my money towards that. When building this car, I put all that money towards a Cusco 1.5-way LSD, which was a better choice to begin with. But now that I've learned how to drive this car pretty decently, I always had room for improvement as far as a better coilover suspension setup system. So the timing was right, and on Instagram, S3 Suspension reached out to me. They're a relatively new coilover company that does custom suspension with custom valving, custom spring rate at your request. They reached out to me, offered me their new suspension system for the MRS, and I decided to go with it. I don't have any experience with S3, and I have never tried them before, so I will be giving my honest impression after they're on the car. Looking at their Instagram, though, they do have some pretty fast cars that they also sponsor, but they are mainly on the Honda platform. But the owner of S3 Suspension recently picked up an MRS as well, and he wanted me to try these out and give my review, and of course tell you guys about it if I do like them. So let's take a look. So, well, here's the box. First off, it was really nicely packaged. Sorry I didn't do like an unboxing video, but I already took out one rear and one front coilover so that I could show you guys before I install it on the car. So let's check out the initial impression and build quality. Here's a rear, here's a front. This is 12K spring and 7K spring. I guess first off notably is they use Swift springs for the custom spring rate. If anyone knows anything about suspension, Swift springs are one of the best in the business as far as the actual spring coil themselves. So looking here at the bottom, I can tell that this is where you adjust the camber. This is similar to my McGann's and other McPherson strut type suspension because you can't really adjust camber on McPherson cars without aftermarket components, and this is one way to do it. This is the one that's similar to what's on my car now, and I haven't had the car lose its alignment driving as hard as I do for over a year now. As long as you torque it down, there really isn't an issue that I've seen. The car pulls currently, at least on the GoPro, I've hit 1.5 G sustained, and the strut hasn't shifted. So moving up here, we can see the first time I've ever had a clean coilover perch, so this should make adjustment easy. Here we have the height adjustment through the coilover bottom perch tube where you can spin it up and down to adjust the height. Preload is here. It was pre-adjusted before they shipped it to me. I asked. So preload is set. All you have to do is set your height, and rake. The height is even side to side. Rake is up to you. So we have 12K spring here. Nice dust boot. Here are the top hats. You can see it's spherical, which is nice. So car should be more responsive. Nice studs here. Nice finish. Doesn't look like there's any rust. Here's where the adjustment screw goes. So it's some assembly required. Here are the adjustment knobs. I'll probably throw that on afterwards. But yeah, all looks good. We'll find out how they drive. So let's move on. Oops, my glasses. Let's move on to this front coilover here. Again, we have camber adjustment here at the bottom. Both of these have the what is that? The brake line perch and sway bar end link perch. So that's good. Here's the front again. So here we have the height adjustment bottom, spring perch, and preload adjustment, dust boot, and then we have the pillow ball top again. And we have these really nice camber plates. I don't have camber plates currently on my McGann's, so this should give me some nice adjustability here. Again, adjustment is on the top. Nice studs here, and nice lines here for adjustment. So overall, I mean, it looks like pretty good initial impression as far as visual inspection for a coilover one-way adjustable damper. One-way meaning rebound adjustment damping. So let's throw these on. I'm excited to throw them on and try it out. I might check in with you guys periodically throughout the install, but I'm not going to do a tutorial because it's pretty straightforward. There are other tutorials on YouTube. I'll just point out some stuff along the way, and yeah, we'll check the fit and finish. If I have any issues, I'll put it in the video, but we'll do an install. I might do a small driving impression as far as the dampers, but we won't be able to really exploit the car's handling until I get proper alignment, which is necessary after installing a new suspension. I'm not sure where I'm going to get an alignment yet because of the coronavirus, so we'll see when I can get that so I can give a real driving impression. But without further ado, let's throw these on the car, and yeah. Alright, so to undo suspension is pretty easy. You just undo the end link here. Easiest way is a 14mm gear wrench, so you can ratchet it, and then you need to put an Allen key on the middle of the stud on the other side. So we undo the sway bar, make sure both sides of the cars are up so there's no tension on the sway bar. Undo these, and then there are only 3 up top, and we should be able to drop these old Megans. So quick comparison of the old versus new. Here's my old blown Megan Easy Streets, new S3 suspension. We're going to have to move the OEM end link, which I've been using to attach to the sway bar. As you can see, these are nice and crusty. Let's see the top comparison. We've got crusty top versus pillow ball. This is rubber too, so gonna be big changes coming up soon. So here's what I was talking about. You gotta put the Allen key in the back here, and then a gear wrench makes this really easy to remove so that you can just ratchet it to undo it. I also just noticed that these come with new nut. Okay, so checkpoint, we did the rear. As you can see, it came with these new nuts. I said that before. Everything fit perfectly fine. I still haven't put the adjustment knob. I pushed the top of the camber thing all the way, and it looks like we're getting more than 3 degrees, which is good because I want to run 4 degrees or something in the back. So, camber adjustment looks good enough without having to get arms, probably. So that was easy, everything fit fine. Now I will move to the fronts. Alright guys, so I just installed the fronts. You guys can see here we have that nice camber plate. It looks like I'm going to have to remove the strut bar before I go get an alignment because it looks like it's a little bit hard to adjust with a TRD strut bar on. Here it is underneath, all installed. Install was really easy, everything bolted up just fine. I haven't torqued everything down yet. All this is here, bolts up nicely. Yeah. So as far as fit and finish, we have no issues. I have had friends that bought coilovers before that just didn't fit like straight up. There's my friend Hien got I think it was Fortune coilovers when they first dropped, and they didn't even fit on his car like at all. But this one had no fit and finish issues. All the bolts like this, I mean, I guess they provided it, but it all lines up perfectly fine. Everything threaded fine. The brake line and stuff all fit fine. So I'm just gonna wrap it up and do the other side. I'm not sure if I'm gonna take it for a test drive. It's like 10 p.m. and there's no alignment. But yeah, just putting everything back together and we should be good to go. But as far as initial impressions, as far as like fit and finish, I say 10 out of 10. I had no issues. Alright guys, so I just finished installing these last night. I was able to take it around the block and hit some speed bumps pretty hard, and there seems to be no issues so far. The car rides really smooth even though it has a stiffer spring rate, so that's a good thing. That means the dampers are doing their job. So the differences I noticed, at least last night and just driving around the block, is I can slam the brakes and the car isn't diving like it used to, and like side to side is more stable. Yet when I hit a bump, it doesn't, when it lands like from the speed bump, it doesn't like oscillate, which is what I was looking for. So, but then again, I haven't done any real testing yet because we don't have an alignment, and we are going to get one tomorrow. Here I put my crappy tires on because it's not aligned, but it looks like you're getting a good amount of camber. I pushed the top parts as far in as I can to max out the camber on the bottom part of the strut before the alignment. So we'll see how that goes. You guys can see the camber here. It's really tilted. But yeah, I'm glad it has some camber. So I will let you guys know. You'll probably see me test drive. I don't know if it'll be a separate video yet. No autocrosses are coming up either, so we're gonna have to just try it on some back roads. But so far so good. Alright guys, so I finally got the MRS aligned and threw on my good tires again. It had the crappy all seasons on when I drove it there. So we got the tires on, and now I'm gonna go play with the damping. Right now I've driven it on the freeway and hit some really big bumps, and I'm really impressed with how the damping is. But now I'm gonna take it out on some back roads with the sticky tires, and I'm just gonna play with the damping. Maybe I'm gonna max it out and then run it full soft and stuff like that, just to see how big of a difference the damping adjustment really makes. I believe these are 32-way adjustable, so we'll just max it out and set it to where I actually want it to set. Right now I have the rear at +6, front at +3, just from freeway driving and pushing it around with all seasons. But now we have sticky tires on, so I have a feeling I'm going to have to turn it up just a little bit. Okay, so right now I turned the dampers to maximum stiff, and I just want to show you guys how stiff it can actually get. So when it's stiff, this is all rebound damping because it's one-way adjustable. So that means that you're really slowing down the speed at which it can return or push down as far as like rebound to like expand. So right now it's maximum tightness. The biggest indicator of how bouncy it is if you listen to my throttle over the bumps. Because I have a loud exhaust, my foot will be shaking and the car will probably make a shaking sound when it's bouncing. So this is maximum stiffness. Turn the damping down to the settings that I made from just going back and forth. We're going to turn it back to +3 front and +6 in the rear. Right now it's maximum 32. You can see the car will hop a bit because there's no too much rebound damping on the bumps. So what I'm going to do now again is turn it to +3 and then +6 in the rear. And I'm going to show you how much the damping difference changes it. So overall when the car's on full soft, it's really supple and smooth. It's the spring rate isn't what causes cars, well, I mean, to an extent the spring rate will make a car bumpy, but it's either like over damping or like too little damping. Too little damping, the car will oscillate and kind of float. Too much is the car is hopping like this. So what I'm going to do is turn it to +3, +6, and you guys can hear and probably see how much smoother it drives because we're on a normal road, not a racetrack. So the road does have imperfections. So I tuned the damper to what I was feeling early on. So now I set the damping to +3, +6 rear. And the reason the rear is higher is because there's a higher spring rate in the rear. It's 12K, front is 7K. So it needs more to resist the strength of the spring pushing like down. So this is the exact same road. You can hear the throttle is smooth. Yeah, these coilovers are really good. So let's slam on the brakes. So you can see the car doesn't dive with the 7K spring rate in the front. The car doesn't dive as hard as it used to. That's a really good spring rate for the front.
Push it that hard. I'm just gonna get a feel for the braking and the rolling and the overall damping. Right now I love it. It's way better than it was before. So we're just gonna give it a little spirited go here and just see how it goes. Overall, that 7K, 12K car is not bouncy. That's not, the spring rate doesn't make the car bouncy, it's the quality of the damper usually, and I guess these dampers are at least way better than my McMahons were. Alright, so I'm back from setting the damping settings for the car. Overall, my impression as far as how it did out on the normal road is it's really great. The 7K, 12K is not too much at all. If you guys think it's bumpy with a rate less than that, it's probably because the damper isn't doing its job, or there's maybe not enough travel on your suspension setup. So these are Swift springs. Swift springs are actually thinner, which means there's more space between the spring coils themselves, so it does have more, like kind of in a way more travel, not like as the lengthwise, but it holds the same rate while having more distance between each coil. And that's one of the advantages of Swift springs, which this has. So now that I'm done with my setting for normal driving, I usually write it here. I had an old piece of tape here before, so the front is +3 and then rear is +6 for the rear, and this is for street. And then I'll put my autocross settings there when we get to that. And then we're also going to be taking this to the track now, finally, that I have a roll bar, so I'll be able to write down my settings there and figure out how it does in those settings. But right now on the street, if you guys buy the same spring rate as me, I would suggest +3 front, +6 rear. And again, since these are one-way adjustable, like most one-way adjustable suspension coilover systems, you are adjusting the rebound setting. So that is the damping force when the spring pushes outward instead of compressing. So that's what the damping does when you do one-way adjustable suspension. But overall, really liked it. You guys can see the adjustment knobs here. I don't know if I showed that before, but yeah. Overall, I do recommend. This was a sponsored video and a sponsored product. I did get this as a sponsored item, but I did get it already, and I have no obligation to give it a good review. Honestly, I already got the product, so I could pretty much walk away with free springs. But yeah, overall, honestly, it was a really good suspension setup for the price. You guys could see the difference in damping when it was maximum stiff. It definitely made the car really stiff, and it's really responsive in transition, so I'm excited to try that on an autocross course. But yeah, the damping does work. When you turn it down, it just soars over the gaps on back roads, so that's good. What else? I think my spring rate so far, as far as trying it out, the car feels a lot more predictable because it's not leaning as much and it's not diving as hard as it used to. So it feels a lot more flat without playing with the sway bars. I didn't change the sway bar settings from my old settings, so but yeah, overall pretty excited to try this out in different settings, and I'm overall very happy with the suspension. So thank you S3 for the suspension, and hope you guys can look forward to me going to some events if they start opening things up. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.